Hello, 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 hello. I'm back from Mardi Gras and I have some goodies. Mardi Gras was fun. Hey, Buppy. Mardi Gras was fun. Fun. Um, Bacchus, as I told y'all before, is the granddaddy of all parades. It's supposed to be the biggest, the best with the best throws, etc. But I always say that the last weekend before Mardi Gras, the two biggest parades are Endymion on the Saturday and Bacchus on a Sunday. Now, Bacchus has an extravaganza this year. Shaquille O'Neal was the king. I thought that was wonderful to have Shaquille, who went to LSU, to be the king of Bacchus. And some of the throws they gave away, I don't know if you can see it. This is actually a football, right? With the letter B for Bacchus. And Bacchus always has a theme with wine, grapes, etc. So it's like grapes, textured as if it were grapes. So this is from Bacchus. I like this. I kept it. In New Orleans, there's a big push to recycle the beads you get and the throws, but I didn't want to part with this. So I actually snuck this in the car. And then this one. On one of my videos, y'all, it lights up. Mine's not lighting up. You heard me say, okay, don't throw any more footballs at me. This is another football. This is another football. It's purple, but it's kind of spiky and it's soft. This one's cute though. But it lights up, but for whatever reason, mine's that I guess the light went out. I guess you can't ask for much, right? And then of course, there's this sword. I don't know the theme. It says Bacchus right here. It says Bacchus. And I don't know what the sword is for, but it was fun. I don't know. We're adults, but we get to act like kids. Chasing floats, chasing throws, listening to the band. Some people follow the band. Honestly, it was fun. It was fun. It was wonderful. Shout out to the city of New Orleans for embracing the military, who was in full display in all of their armory. They were not playing around. And the mounted patrol coming through the French quarters. I have a video. So New Orleans has mounted patrol that typically is in the French quarters. And when they come through, they don't say anything. So I had to pull my cameraman out the way because he's about to get run over by a horse. Oh, a man on a horse, a police officer on a horse. I guess you're supposed to be alert as to what's going on around you. And they sit for a while, then they move to another area, and then they sit. I think I have them here. They allow people to pet the horses. Now, when we were there last time for New Year's Eve, they didn't even want people like taking flash photos because, they didn't want the horses to be startled. But this time, everybody seems so nice. That's the wall, the memorial to the 14 people that lost their lives. One of the players at the combine, Jack Beck, who also played in the Senior Bowl, lost his brother during that New Year's Eve terrorist attack. So, for the combine, it was, pretty solemn for him. They asked him, who will he want to throw to? He said, my brother, who also played football and lost his life in New Orleans. And during the Super Bowl, they presented the family with condolences. And his brother goes to TCU. So, much condolences to him. But whenever you walk past the wall, it's decorated with art and the names. And it's just a solemn moment. But New Orleans was on it. Blocking Bourbon Street was not just a police car. As we've seen before, what they call like a pothole filling truck, which is like a dump truck, but the modern kind, where it's holding all the cement. And everything went smooth without a hitch. Shout out to the hotel I stayed in. If y'all go to New Orleans and you don't have a problem staying in the French quarters, it wasn't noisy. We were on, I think, the backside facing the Mississippi River Bridge. Beautiful hotel, Royal Sonesta, like right in the 300 block. We were only 2 blocks from the quarters, so we could walk right up, catch the parades, of course, places to eat, entertain yourself, etc. So they sent me a text that says, how was everything? Let us know. And I just responded, excellent, with 5 stars, because beautiful hotel. Everything is right there. There's a lounge on site. There's a restaurant. There's a coffee shop, which is pretty popular in the city. So they brought everything to you. So if you go to New Orleans, tell them what she said sent you, 5-star Royal Sonesta. So Mardi Gras was good. So thank you for asking, Bumpy. Thank you so much. And again, I'm just sharing video from the scenery in Mardi Gras. I went live and I saw Gracie and some other people on there. And there was a little kid that asked me what was I recording, because people were actually fascinated by the fact that I had a tripod with the camera. And of course, you could see me with the microphone. So they were gracious, and I had a few interviews, etc. Hey, 400 Circle Media, welcome back. And the kid, he couldn't have been any older than 7 or 8. And he said, what are you recording? I said, I have a sports show on YouTube. And he was so sweet. He said, well, I hope you're just as big as ESPN one day. I said, me too, boo. So I brought him on to the camera. So y'all got to go watch the live stream from, it says, What She Said Sports is live from New Orleans. Watch it. He was so cute. I think he's in that one. If not, he was on when I was recording it, and I'll post it as a short. And a few other people gave me interviews. I know for sure that is on the live stream. One is a guy, he told me where he went to high school in New Orleans, and he said he went to an HBCU. And I don't know if you could hear him, but he said he broke numerous SWAC records. So I didn't get to ask him because I didn't understand what he was really saying at the time because it was so loud. I didn't get to ask him. So if you see this, because I know they followed me, which SWAC records did you break and which one were you most proud of? That's what I wanted to ask him. I didn't even get to ask him what sport he played. We were talking about the fact that he went to Edna Carr, and I immediately remembered that Edna Carr's band director was a J5 drum major at Jackson State. So we went down that path, and then we talked about the SWAC, and my alma mater, Prairie View A&M University, is in his alma maters, which is Arkansas Pine Bluff Conference. But I didn't get to ask him what sport he played, what records he broke, to kind of bring that back to y'all. So, but it was fun. I had good interviews. Go watch it. What She Said is live in New Orleans. So go watch it. All right, let's see who's in here. 400 Circle Media, welcome. Mardi Gras was fun. And I want to pick up where we left off because y'all know there's a lot been said about our guy. And I just really don't appreciate it. So we're going to address it. Before I left, I saw Sheduer Sanders. And I noticed, I posted this in the post section of the YouTube, right? And I said, Sheduer Sanders stayed. He stayed behind to support Jimmy Horn Jr. and LaJohntay, right? Right here. So this is, Sheduer could have been gone. Matter of fact, a lot of people left. It would be interesting to know who else stayed to support their team. So Sheduer, you know, he didn't work out. Once he finished his medicals, technically he could have left. He had some interviews the day after medicals. He stayed. Jimmy Horn Jr. and LaJohntay were being interviewed. I didn't see him at the time, but he was still there. And this was Saturday. So he stayed. And when Jimmy was running, the camera panned to Sheduer, and he was smiling from ear to ear because y'all know Jimmy and LaJohntay did well. And the camera, he was interviewed afterwards. And he said, the reporter said, you know, you could have left. She said, I can't believe you stayed, you know. And he said, we're family. He said, we're family, so I want to support the family. And y'all know, anytime Sheduer was asked, the same question multiple people were, who do you want to throw to? What receivers would you want to throw to? He could have said anybody. You know what he said? Will Shepard, LaJohntay Wester, Jimmy Horn Jr., all the Colorado Buffaloes, you know, that he named. I'm sure Travis Hunter. And I was like, you know, Sheduer is just really that guy. And it's really a testament to how well Coach Prime raised them, because Bucky is also that guy. Bucky filmed LaJohntay and Jimmy's interview. Of course, he filmed Sheduer's too. But during their interview, he was basically there, but they made like a little inside joke. And you could see, I talked about this before I left, how Jimmy loosened up, how LaJohntay laughed. So I saw a post from LaJohntay after the combine, all said and done, everybody's gone back home. He thanked Bucky. He said, thank you for everything. Now, I don't think he just meant that trip. I think he meant that trip and everything in between from the moment he got to Colorado. Because why? They're going their separate ways. Not true. They're likely coming back to pro day. But he took the time to show gratitude to Bucky, who did not have to. He could have just filmed his own brother. But no, he didn't just film LeJohntay. He didn't just film Jimmy Horn Jr. He was there like an anchor for them to be comfortable, to loosen up, because reporters are asking them different questions. And it is nervous being in those types of situations. I still get nervous to this day when I begin to present, not when I'm presenting the whole way through, but just when I start the presentation, and then I just get comfortable, maybe like a minute or two in it. It's just nervous and it's just the jitters, and it's just natural. Even if this is something you do all the time, it's just natural. So shout out to Bucky. LeJohntay showed his gratitude. I saw a video with Jimmy Horn Jr. and Sheduer, both with their braids, which I love, by the way. Love it, love it, love it. I hope Sheduer goes back to his twist, just like Jaden Daniels. Sheduer had his twist. I saw a photo recently from back in the season when he had those twists. I think we'll be seeing them. Sheduer is himself, 100% authentically Sheduer Sanders. So let's talk about why it is that an anonymous coach, if I had to bet 10 racks, I could basically tell you what team it was from, supposedly in the top 7, had some defaming words for Sheduer. See, when you evaluate the players, you're supposed to evaluate their skill. You're not supposed to try to tear down their character. For one, you don't know them. You've only talked to them for 20 minutes at best. So this is why I think the anonymous source of this defaming comment is upset. Sheduer Sanders said on the podium, if you are not willing to change the culture of the organization or the coaching, don't draft me. I'm not mad at that. But I think that's what provoked that defamatory comment. And that's how I know what team it was from. I bet you I know what team it was from. See, here's the thing. Sheduer is saying something that we talked about on this podcast that fans talk about. But see, they don't want the players to feel like they have a choice in anything. They want the players to be in a position of subservience, like you get what you get and you don't have the right to not like it. And they treat them the same way when they want to trade. Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland. Can you guess why? Because he wants to win. So before Sheduer gets to the league, he's putting it out there. Chances are we're talking about a losing organization in not 1 or 2 years. I bet we're going 10, 15, almost 10, 12, 15 years back. Because I took the time to look up some records today. I knew what he was talking about anyway. I knew where the comment came from. Remember, the source is a coach, right? A QB coach, supposedly, right? What did Sheduer say? If you are not willing to change the culture of the organization, now it didn't come from an executive, or the coaching, don't draft me. That's why the anonymous source is upset, because hit dogs holler. Now, this anonymous source knows their organization is lame, knows that they lose year after year after year after year, and they're not trying to get no better. Because then what? Then maybe their players will be happy. Maybe that's not what they really want. Maybe they're just happy with having a $1 billion, multi-billion-dollar valuation, and that's good enough for the organization. So we ain't really worried about y'all. See, I told you, just because they let you in don't mean they have to let you win. We talked about this with Lamar Jackson, right? This is a testament that they didn't want to win. You went out and did what? Lamar Jackson, how they knew Lamar Jackson needed somebody to throw to? They figured it out. Did he talk about it? Did other people talk about it? So they wanted to pacify the request to appear to get this organization together so Lamar Jackson could win, right? So when they get to this game against the Bills, what did they do? The coach chose to throw to the guy that was there before who wasn't winning, not the guys like Derrick Henry, Isaiah Likely that they brought in to win. You think that was a coincidence? No, because what would it do? Make Lamar Jackson what? A winner. And did he win MVP this year? No, he was robbed of that too. So a lot of fans believe, because we pay thousands of dollars for tickets, that because we want to win. The organizations want to win. What did I say happened when Deshaun Watson asked for a trade? Everything they knew about Deshaun Jackson that we found out, they already knew. Look at Justin Tucker. I told y'all Deshaun Watson wasn't the only person. I told you he wasn't the only player in that situation. People talk about who introduced Deshaun Watson to the people he ended up in a situation with. Because Deshaun Watson wasn't the only one. Justin Tucker is proof of that. And look at how differently Justin Tucker's situation is handled from Deshaun Watson. You know what kicked off Deshaun Watson's situation? He asked for a trade after DeAndre Hopkins was traded without his knowledge, and there was supposed to be some understanding that because he was the quarterback, that they would talk with him. Because why? That was his Jamar Chase. And you up and get rid of his Jamar Chase without saying a word to him. And I thought I was one of y'all. No, partner, you not. So he knows that now. So people ask me, how do I think he feels now? I'm like, he probably feels a multitude of ways. Set up. Yeah, you were wrong, but he probably feels set up. So, my thing is, even though he thought he was their equal, because Deshaun Watson thought he was the front office, he thought he was their equal, because why? They said, hey, we'll include you before we trade anybody that you throw to, because, we understand how important it is. You can't always get that chemistry with that guy. And they didn't do it. It's just like LeBron James not being aware in advance that Luka was coming in. Not that who was going out, because I don't think that was the issue. I think it's who was coming in. Look at their situation now. LeBron was that guy. They were struggling. Now they're in second place with Luka there. We don't hear about Luka's issues and why Dallas got tired of them. So, people talk about what they want to talk about. That's what I'm getting at. So with Sheduer Sanders, 85%, 90% of reporters, honestly, were like, a lot of people like Sheduer. This GM liked the Sheduer, blah, blah, blah. He could go here, there. I told y'all from day one, when they kept saying Sheduer was going to the Giants, I'm like, no, he not. And not because of Sheduer. Sheduer has changed not 2 programs, 3. His high school program, he changed that one too. They built a culture of winning. They didn't just go to the state championship once. And then after he left, I don't think they returned. Jackson State built the culture of winning there. Coach T.C. Taylor was added to Coach Prime's coaching tree. I think he might have been there before, but Coach Prime added him to the staff. Culture of winning. After Coach Prime left, they had to retool, rebuild, and guess what? Culture of winning is back. Colorado, culture of winning, even with the sabotage. Because why? There are people that just don't want Sheduer to go first. Now, it's one organization, in my opinion, this entire process felt like they had something to say about, well, we don't know if we want to get Sheduer because of Coach Prime. So his father being instrumental in his life is a problem, but it's not a problem for anybody else. Coach Prime talked about this. He talked about this when they were in New Orleans for the Super Bowl on ESPN. It's never been a problem for the Mannings. It's not a problem that the Kelsey brothers are there, and I'm sure maybe somebody in their family has some insight. It's not a problem. Remember, Cooper Manning played ball in Mississippi, got injured. I think after that, he got like a talk show. So he's been around football the whole time. So not just Mr. Archie Manning being instrumental, Cooper Manning is instrumental. You think, and Arch Manning is his son. You think he don't have nothing to say? Arch Manning just got a new NIL deal. You think the family didn't talk about that? You think either his father or his own father, meaning Arch's father, Cooper, or Cooper's father, Arch Sr., didn't have something to say? Come on now. So we know what it is. And that's the thing. If all of these shows are going to sit down and talk about, hey, Sheduer Sanders, they playing in his face. Talk about why they playing in his face. Talk about why they're singling him out. Because he's confident. He's not a confident white man. He's a confident black man. Talk about that. Talk about how they dragged Jalen Hurts. Why? Because he had self-worth enough to leave Alabama after being pulled out of the game too early. When Tua got hurt, he showed up for Alabama and they won. And he did what? He went to Oklahoma where they had an air raid offense, something that worked better for him. And then they say he gonna get drafted in the 3rd or 4th round, but then they don't take him to number 58, and he's been to the Super Bowl twice in 5 years. Talk about that. I always have something to say about they can't read his emotions. Why are you trying to read the man? He's private. Mind your business. So if y'all gonna talk about Sheduer Sanders and you want to talk about this situation, go find out who said it. Because to be anonymous and defame somebody is cowardly. Honestly, it's more of an indictment as the anonymous person when 85 to 90% of reporters and executives like Sheduer. Just because he called out your ball club without saying he don't want to go somewhere where the front office is in shambles, where the coaching isn't interested in winning. Why would I want to go there? Y'all mad because Myles Garrett want to leave an organization that don't want to win? So see now, since the players are like, hey, I don't want to go to an organization where they just losing and they're not good. Something the Mannings did, it's a problem. And see, Coach Prime didn't say nothing. He let Sheduer handle his own affairs. And see, y'all thought he couldn't do it. Clearly he can. He don't want to go to an organization that's not committed to winning. Who does? But see, they don't want the players to have any opinion. They don't want the players to have any opinion. So they must think we stuck in that shut up and dribble area. But we're not. We're not. A lot of fans feel like Sheduer. Imagine you having season tickets and you watching this team not do anything to win, but instead you see teams out here fumbling Saquon Barkley. Somebody needs to answer for that. But yet nobody's been held accountable. And these same people that fumble Saquon Barkley want to go out here and draft a star and what, kill his career or delay it? How many years did Saquon Barkley have to suffer as a New York Giants? In the moment he gets the opportunity, because they tell him, oh, maybe you should go ahead and test the market. He gets not just one offer, 3, and he chooses Philly. So once again, who's the problem? Not the player. But see, they upset because Sheduer supposedly has confidence that they want to see as arrogance. Now imagine if Sheduer Sanders or Myles Garrett came in knowing that the organizations aren't trying to win and they had a collect the check mentality. You know what they would be saying about Sheduer? Oh, we don't know if he's fit to be a quarterback. So now that they see black quarterbacks can lead and win, Jalen Hurts, after they dragged him, dropped him to the 2nd round. Oh, he's confident. So that means you damned if you do and you damned if you don't. So you may as well be yourself. Because going into the NFL, trying to tiptoe and be likable, that ain't going to work for you. I'm sure Myles Garrett was the perfect, the model employee. But he's tired of losing, so he wants to move on. Let's see how he get treated going forward. Because from what I heard, he might want to leave, but they have no intention of letting him go. How you like them apples? So see, they don't want the players to have choices. They want the players to be stuck in a losing situation, because if I let you go, it shows that you're in control. But if I know you want to leave and I smear your reputation in the case of Deshaun Watson, or if I tell the public, yeah, we heard he wants to leave, but we have no intentions of letting him go, that's a power dynamic. It's showing who's in control. And that's what this is about. That's what it was about. That's what it's about for Lamar Jackson. I told y'all after that game, Lamar Jackson going to have to ask himself a few questions. And one of the questions Lamar Jackson needs to ask himself, sir, if you see this, Baltimore front office, do you want to win with me as your quarterback? Might be surprised as the answer, because they went out and got all the pieces that they need, but didn't utilize them. So for the anonymous source that has some defamatory words for Sheduer Sanders, I'm willing to believe that anonymous source is in the same circle with the people who wanted Lamar Jackson to switch to wide receiver, or in the same circle with the people who thought that Jalen Hurts could go third or fourth round. I'm willing to bet they all in that same circle. People that don't respect choices of another person, or they feel like the power dynamic is here, you have to be subservient. I heard somebody say today on one of these shows, The Facility, saying that, teams don't take too lightly when a player feels like, I don't need the NFL. I was like, ho, Sheduer never said he don't need the NFL. But they didn't talk about what he said. They want to put words in his mouth. See, these are people that's trying to show Sheduer who's in control. But see, everybody's not like that, because actually there's been backlash from this anonymous source. People are fed up with this anonymous source because guess what? He's not new. He's not new. Fans point out how Trevor Lawrence basically said, football is not the priority for me. It's not the most important thing. And he still went number one. So I guess it just depends on who says it. So for people like Sheduer, keep being confident. There are teams that want to win. Never dim your light. Don't shrink yourself to benefit somebody who don't want you to make it in the first place. Because ultimately, the NFL is supposed to be a competitive league. And there are a few teams out here who don't want to win. So when is the NFL going to start holding these teams accountable for drafting top talent and trying to kill their careers? Or in the case of Caleb, who went to Chicago, they want to fix Caleb. I'm like, you want to fix who? The Heisman winner? That's who you want to fix? Okay. So, see, they don't want to be accountable and fix their front office. They don't want the fans to call out the obvious. Your culture, your organizations, the culture is bad. Your coaching is bad. Your winning record is terrible. So they want the players to act like they don't see it. But I promise you, if they came in there with a collect the check mentality and not care about winning, you know what word will be floating around. So in my opinion, if you're going to report on what somebody said and it's defamatory, you're going to need to reveal your source, or you're going to just need to maybe just keep it quiet. Because it's not fair to Sheduer for people to try to tear down his reputation because some people can't get over themselves. And that's my opinion on that. It's not a new situation, but it's time for the NFL to do something about it. Let's see who's in here. Let's see. Mardi Gras was good. It said, hey, Gracie, how you doing? Welcome back. I'm doing well. I hope everybody's doing well. Queen T said, hello, chat. What's up? I think the media is blowing up way more than what it is. Sheduer is going to show them that he's such a good kid and a winner. And everybody else can speak with confidence, but not a black man. Right. And that's my point. That's exactly what this is about. I've heard people on shows try to walk around a corner to get across the street to say exactly that, Queen T. Just say it. Just say it. When it's a black man being confident, it's a problem. We're not going to ask why. How we going to fix this? We need to hold some people accountable. So just because the public might not know who said it, the NFL could get to the bottom of it. The NFL could get to the bottom of it, exact consequences, and send the message. We do not defame talent. We evaluate the skill set. We don't defame the character. And that's the message that needs to be sent. And there need to be swift repercussions and consequences for coaches, anonymous or named, that do. That's a power dynamic. That's called a power play. I can tear you down. There's nothing you can do. And you want to tear him down. Why? Because he said the obvious. If you're not willing to change the culture or the coaching, don't draft me. And they want him to act like he don't have a choice in the matter. But there are other players who have turned down teams. Am I right? So if it's good for the Mannings, it's good for the Sanders. And that's what they need to understand. It's called keeping you in your place. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do, but it's not working. It's backfiring. They are feel threatened by Sheduer that's smart and intelligent, no arrogance at all. Right. You know, I heard on one show today, they were talking about how some people feel like this is happening to Sheduer. Some people think it's because of Coach Prime. Some people think, some analysts believe this is happening because Sheduer is already wealthy. It was pointed out on the facility that, well, Sheduer is already wealthy. He's one of the few people, his parents are wealthy. He came into the league with NIL money. He's already wealthy. And that's when they started the conversation going down the road of Sheduer is basically saying, I don't need the NFL. I'm like, time out. He never said he don't need the NFL. And then they were questioning, well, is he really going to be focused? And, you know, on the facility, they went down the list of other quarterbacks like Josh Allen that came in with mad paper. I'm like, so Sheduer can't love football and be passionate about football because he's black and rich? So, okay. So basically, you got to be homeless to be they want the homeless black players to come in. Why? Because they'll do anything for the money. But see, Sheduer don't have to do anything for the money. He can speak up and still be confident at the same time. So that's what I mean by they want them to be in a subservient position. And James, the guy on the facility, he said, unlike Sheduer, I came in starving. I had to. He said he was like, I was homeless. I had to do whatever to get whatever. See, that goes for all of us. That's not just for Sheduer. That's for all of us. When we're in a position where we can say no to something that's harmful to our careers or harmful to our lives, some people get upset. They want to manipulate you into thinking that you need this. Because if you need this, you'll do anything. You see that in one industry, I bet you know what it is. How many wealthy rappers that are black grew up wealthy and became rappers that you know about? Why? Because they're not going to do anything. They're not going to sell their souls. So I know the NFL not out here asking Sheduer to sell his soul to be a quarterback, right? To me, I think the reason why some people in that NFL circle still hate on Lamar Jackson is because they asked him to switch to wide receiver and he said no. And he's still feeling the consequences of that. Remember, he's still in the same organization that drafted him number 32. And they trying to spin it and make it look like, ooh, we knew he was going to fall, so we going to get it. Yeah, okay. And what did they want him to do when he got there? Hey, Ronnie. Oh, nice to have you back, Ronnie. Nice to have you back. I'm so sick of the hate against the Sanders family. And exactly. It is not, you know what? It's not just hate as in jealousy. It's fueled by racism. And people don't want to say it. But like I said, they're going around the corner to get, I say it. I don't have no sponsors. I can say it. And I think that that's what it is. See, when you have sponsors, there's only so much that you can and cannot say before they have something to say. But in my position, I'm like Sheduer Sanders. I don't have to sell my soul. I don't have to answer to you, or you. I just have to not violate copyright, and I'm good. I'm good. So my point is, I can say it. It's fueled by racism. It's fueled by racism, and it's powered by retaliation. And the NFL needs to get this in check. It's not hard. Letting people think that they can get away with this will only make it worse. Now, if they don't want to trade Myles Garrett, okay. But by no means should you come out and make a statement in a way as if he don't have choices in life. You can present that to say, well, I understand he's not happy and he don't want to win, but we're working on becoming a winning organization. So we would like to have him stay with us for another year just to give it a shot. Don't come out here making no comment like he don't have no choices out here. Everybody has choices. So the way you respond to people, the things that you get upset about, and the way you attack a person's character, it really does reveal your motivation. And a lot of this is just motivated by racism, because why? They didn't even want black players to become quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson was not drafted that long ago. And if they wanted him to switch to wide receiver, it might explain to you why you hear such a threat on what? Dual threat quarterbacks. I brought that up before this comment about Sheduer was made. I said I have a theory. I feel like when it comes to dual threat quarterbacks, there's a few people conspiring to make sure these guys don't make it to the top. Jaden Daniels got through. He's not going to be the last person. I told y'all I felt like since there were the top 3 quarterbacks in this draft are black. This not the first draft where the top 3 are black. But somebody wants it to be the last, which is why you keep hearing, oh, let's get Jackson Dart in there and let's move Sheduer down. After the combine, people are saying, we're not worried about Jackson Dart. They found somebody else. They ain't going to be able to work him all the way to the top. But believe me when I tell you that they were trying. But what I never understood is, okay, so you like Jackson Dart, and maybe you want him to go to the first round. But the fact that you have to tear down Sheduer Sanders to do it says that this is not about football. This is about if Cam goes first and Jackson Dart goes first in the first round, and then Sheduer Sanders goes last in the third round, you somehow feel better about yourself because you have a white guy in the first round as a quarterback, whereas right now you might not. This is not about football. So everybody talking about this just need to be honest. And if you feel like your sponsor's going to take away your sponsorship, if you honest about a young, black, wealthy, intelligent quarterback being defamed, then maybe you need to question your life choices. Maybe that's who need to question their life choices. The people talking about this, they can't say this is fueled by racism because it can be proven. Sheduer has to carry his team on his back. He can't be weak. He's not weak. If Sheduer was a weak quarterback, you would hear about it. They say he's not all of that. Then why you can't keep his name out of your mouth? Go talk about Cam Ward. He deserves the attention. You should have a lot of positive things to say about Cam Ward. Okay. Good evening, Kiel. I think Sheduer was in Nashville yesterday or this morning. He might have been. I remember the GM met Sheduer. We talked about this. And he said after talking, he said, I really like him. He's saying he's likable, whatever. And remember we talked about this. He said one of the things was he realized how mature Sheduer is. So, there are people thinking that Sheduer got to fight this uphill battle because teams might not draft him after this anonymous source. I'm like, actually, that couldn't be further from the truth. Because for one, that's not the first moment any team met Sheduer. That statement came from a hit dog that decided to holler because Sheduer said, if you are not willing to change the culture of the organization or the coaching, don't draft me. So somebody got their feelings hurt because they felt personally attacked. Well, if you know your organization and your coaching isn't good, fix it. I'm sure the fans would appreciate it. We all know who Sheduer is at this moment. Not just Colorado fans, not just college football fans. The teams know who he is too. So we might not never hear about any repercussions. We'll see what happens next year because there'll be probably 3 quarterbacks at the top again that some people might have an issue with. And one of them might be ours, Caden Salter. So we're going to have something to say. So we'll be here. Meeting with the Titans. Yeah, he probably was. They were meeting with 4 different teams this week. I think he said the 30 for 30. I think he mentioned 2 teams. But yeah, I'll take that. I know Nashville seems to like Cam Ward. But I don't know where he's going to end up. Some people think he could, and some people still think Sheduer could still end up a Cleveland Brown. And I saw one article that hinted that Cleveland could get 2 Colorado stars. Now, they didn't mean at the same time. Then again, maybe they did. I didn't read it. But remember, Cleveland say they got money. They have money that they want to shop with. And if they could get Sheduer and Travis, I think it would be cool. But I'm going to tell y'all, after watching the combine and Jimmy and Sheduer, seeing their connection, their chemistry, I said in the comments, I think it was under Well Off Media, I said, man, if Jimmy and Sheduer could go to the same team, it'd be crazy. It would be crazy. And people like the comment because I think that would actually be a good. I think we talked about that. We talked about in our draft plus one what players we could get to go with Sheduer. One player, buff players could go with Travis. I don't know who I voted for, but I'm going to go ahead and say Jimmy and Sheduer. It said, you're right. I was listening to Big Blue Network. You're right. He's just racist. They hate this young man, but nothing they're trying to put that Mississippi quarterback ahead of him at the Giants. Yeah. And there's another thing. Now, we have talked about this. I have said this before. I've never heard anybody on any big box network or any other podcast say it. I'm going to repeat it. I was never surprised that when we got to this moment, the Giants will be backpedaling or would not pick Sheduer. Why? The New York Giants have never in the history of that organization had a black starting quarterback. In other words, if they drafted Sheduer, I was concerned because it would have been just the benching to silence him. You think that don't happen? Look at what happened to Michael Penix Jr. And now he's a starter. And all I've seen since the Falcons made the announcement that Michael Penix Jr. is the starter, my inbox blowing up with season tickets. Yeah, you had to make that announcement because who was going to buy season tickets and not know if Michael Penix Jr. was going to start? I said it. I didn't want the Giants to bench Sheduer. I asked the question. I said, can y'all imagine Sheduer being drafted and benched? They have never had a black starting quarterback. So I want to hear if they're going to take Cam Ward because that's going to be interesting. I don't want them to do that to him either. If you know you're not going to start a black quarterback, go ahead. By all means, if you want Jackson Dart, that's cool too. But you're not going to tear down Cam Ward and Sheduer Sanders because you don't want to make an asinine move and try to justify it before you get it out there in front of your fans. You're trying to justify this boo-boo the fool move you're trying to make it. I'd rather you do that than kill their careers. Roger Goodell is not going to say anything because those owners are his boss, period. Yep, obviously, because they haven't held them accountable. They haven't held these. I mean, how many years in a row do you have to lose? To be honest with you, it was a bad look after the way Saquon Barkley was fumbled. And then he go to the Super Bowl. That was a horrible look. It shows you that these teams are not committed to winning. So either you're inept and you need to be fired, or you just know what you're doing and you're just not committed to winning because the tax write-off feels so good. Charmaine Yates, they didn't want a strong, confident black man. No, but I guarantee you if Sheduer would have came in there being, in their minds, meek, they would be tearing him apart. Oh, he's just not, confident enough to be. That's what they would say. I promise you. If players would come in, like some of these teams have the mentality that they're not committed to win, you let a player get drafted, make $45 million, and shows apathy to the entire situation. Guess what they're going to call him? All right, then. Lazy. That's the first thing they're going to say. Then you let Sheduer come in and be unsure of himself. You let him come in and not be confident in his speech and be confident in his future and in his record and know who he is. What you think they're going to do? They're going to eat him up and they're going to spit him out the same way they did Russell Wilson on the sideline in Denver. How ugly was that? But then we turn right around and we watch Bo Nix go at Sean Payton. Nobody say nothing. See, they expect you to stand there and take it. That's what they expect you to do. Don't ever sell your soul that way. Never dim your light. Because if you have to dim your light, you're in the wrong room. And just like Saquon Barkley, it's going to be a matter of time before you can get out of there. Maybe that's why these actual the Players Association and the players got together and said a rookie contract should be no more than 4 years, because they know some of these organizations, some of these careers gonna go there to die if they have a 7-year contract. And you know what? Sometimes, I know $100 million is nice. We're not saying that. But after you get that first payment, that first year, and you used to this life, you want to win. You wanted to win anyway. So if they think the money is going to subdue you, no. And in some people's mindset, well, I pay you enough money, so no, I'm not trading you. I can do whatever I want with you. All of this is fueled by racism. The way that people are treated when they want to be traded, because everybody's not treated that way. But when they done with you, they could be done with you. Queen T said, I will never forget when the Texas owner, Bob McNair, said we can't let the players. He said we can't have the inmates running the prison. What? Of course it's still there. Lamar Jackson was not drafted that long ago. If I'm not mistaken, did he win the Heisman in 2017, 2018? It's only 2025. And they were still using that test, which in my opinion was supposed to be like a standardized test that was supposed to predict whether or not a quarterback will be successful. But I don't know if completing a math question is going to determine if I'm going to be successful with my athleticism. See, that's what they don't like. That's why they have an issue with dual threat quarterbacks, because you can't teach it. It's in you, not on you. Thank you, Kiel. Thank you so much. Hey, Miss Hayes. Shanithia, hello. Queen T said they need to push some of those owners out of the NFL with that mentality. Queen T, I think that's where all of the push is coming from to get these ownership groups. I feel like that kind of is the new wave of ownership in the NFL. And I don't know if you know anything about these ownership groups, but some of them have a lot of several people from the Black community. For instance, the Buffalo Bills have an ownership group, and I know 2 of the newest members. It's not just 2, but 2 of the newest members are Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady. Yes, they're cousins, but they're both wealthy NBA players. And Vince Carter is no stranger to equity. So that was the right move. And that's the Buffalo Bills. And then down here in Atlanta, you have Dominique Dawes. You have the movie producer, Will, what his name? I forgot his name. But the guy that did Girls Trips, I forget his name. Him, a few other people. Serena Williams is part of the ownership group in Miami, along with her sister. Not just them 2, there are others. And then Serena, shout out to Serena, congratulations to her and her family. She just became part owner of a new WNBA team that doesn't even exist yet. So she definitely making strides in ownership in sports. So that's the new wave, these ownership groups. Because for one, what it does is it keeps the teams out of the hands of people who just want to play with the power dynamic, and using it for the wrong reasons. So we'll see what happens with it, but that does seem to be the new wave. I would expect at some point Jay-Z to become part owner in one of these teams. We have Magic Johnson with the Commanders. I knew at one time Steph Curry actually wanted to buy, was it the Carolina Panthers when they were doing really, really badly, which wasn't too long ago. And I don't know what happened with that. So maybe that's something that'll come back around for him. I hope it does. He's from there, so it meant a lot to him. So maybe that's something he could do in the future. LeBron James probably one day in the future could become part of, maybe one of the Cleveland franchise or something like that. But it's definitely changing the face of ownership, as it should. But in my opinion, see, it's not hard to shut this down. It's not hard to shut down this rhetoric and this hatred toward the talent. It's easy. You just go to, I'm going to need your source, or I can't let you report here no more. I know reporters are not supposed to reveal their sources, but you know who said it, because somebody told somebody that told somebody else. And you go to that person. And then after you get rid of that person, because you need to modernize the thought process in the NFL. The same people I keep telling you that hated on Lamar Jackson, they are still around. And I'm willing to believe the anonymous source who has an issue with Sheduer, coincidentally, it's only black quarterbacks that you hear being trashed like this. Why? Because they didn't want black quarterbacks in a position in the first place. The test was called the Wonderlic test. I looked it up. I looked for the sample questions. I'm like, now what about this test would have me to believe that anybody would be successful as a quarterback? That test was used to weed people out so that if you failed it, they could have an excuse to stand on so you couldn't be a quarterback. So I want to switch you to another position. After Lamar Jackson, they got rid of that test. So everything we're talking about is fueled by racism. And all of these channels know it, but they don't want to say the R word as if it's a bad word. But guess what? Maybe if you called it out for what it is, then we could solve some problems around here. Again, the Giants, just like Saquon, just let Saquon walk out and the Eagles win an NFC championship player in the Super Bowl. Exactly. Player of the year and player of the game and a Super Bowl. So get this, right? What did we hear the owner of the Giants say? If Saquon walks, I don't think I will be able to go to sleep. Those people didn't even care how that man felt, and it was his team. What does that tell you? Who's in control? The same people that wanted Lamar Jackson to switch to wide receiver. Scouts, GMs. That's why you have to be very careful who you hire as a scout and a GM to understand their motivation. And I'm willing to bet the guy that made this so-called comment about Sheduer is tenured as hell and needs to go. And that's what needs to happen. And it don't need to be quiet. Send the message. We do not defame talent. He was in his feelings. He need to find another job if he can't control his emotions. That's just weak-minded. Will Packard, that's his name. Thank you for that, Queen T. Yep, that's exactly who I was talking about. Magic Johnson is part owner of the Commanders. Confront it and it'll change. But if we keep sweeping it under the rug and feel comfortable running around saying a top 7 pick, I'm like, all top 7 picks don't need a quarterback. Process of elimination, I figured out who we talking about. I mean, I pretty much know who we talking about. And I know why they upset. But hit dogs holler. If you got an issue, if you a coach and you feel like Sheduer is saying he don't want to come to your organization because your culture and coaching needs to change and your feelings hurt, well, maybe this is the perfect opportunity to improve. But your record tells you that y'all haven't won a championship since, hell, I don't even know. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. So it's a lot of fans and analysts and reporters who are speaking out about this because it's wrong. I said that before I went to New Orleans. So imagine me hearing it. I got to drive for 7 hours either direction. I had a lot of time for it to sink in. I mean, I knew what I was going to say anyway, but the point is, call it out for what it is. This hatred towards Sheduer Sanders is fueled by racism. The Sanders family did not set the precedent for having thoughts, feelings, and emotions about teams that are historically bad. And if you're not willing to change the culture, if you know you never had a black starting quarterback, then don't play games with these people's careers just because you have the money to do so. See, when a player don't need to bid for money, then they get upset. Sheduer's not the first player to basically say what he said. There are other NFL players that have said, nah, I don't want to go here. We're not still talking about them. It's okay when the Mannies do it, but it's not okay for the Sanders to do it. That tells you your problem right there. And if all of these channels are going to talk about this incessantly, whether it be clickbait or they have actual interest, then man up and call it out for what it is. This hatred towards Sheduer is rooted in racism. The NFL needs to fix it yesterday. One thing about fans will revolt with their wallets. And if you look at how many people watch Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime show, don't think we don't go to games. The New York Giants started that last week. They gave up 10% black ownership. What are you saying, Kiel? They decided, last week they decided they want to add an ownership group or something like that. They need to do something. To me, I don't know how the owner, God bless his heart, because he seemed really concerned. And he wasn't the only person. I went back, there was there was a post going around, like on IG, with him looking worried, walking into I'm assuming the GM's office and asking, where are we with the Saquon thing? That's what he called it. And, the guy basically not answering him. And it's another dude in the office. I never forget, he had on the Apple Watch. He was looking down at his phone like, Lord have mercy, I don't want to be in here, because, he wasn't comfortable. But then there was another coach, another guy. He was a coach guy. He was a white guy. He said, are you sure Saquon is not going to be able to get money from another team? You can hear this guy basically trying to respect the power dynamic and the hierarchy here, because that's clearly his boss. But he also trying to get into this man's head like, are you sure Saquon is not going to be able to get money from another team? And he really thought his thing was Chicago's driving up the price. And you think that's an organization a rookie want to go to? And your feelings hurt because somebody don't want to come to your organization? The fact that they still have a job is amazing to me. Because in no other field would you have a job if you fumble something that could have made you billions in winning. Not committed to winning. And the owner could have did something about it. But telling somebody, I'm going to put you on a clock and allow them to make decisions for this draft. I bet you 10-1, if they were already fired, we wouldn't be hearing about none of this about Sheduer. And times have changed. I think it was on Rich Eisen's show. He used the term, he said there are some people in the NFL who need to understand that in the modern era, that's how he said it. In the modern era, players are different. Long time ago, when they got players from HBCUs, let's just go back that far. Walter Payton came from HBCU. I think Jerry Rice maybe came from HBCU. Things were different then. Not very many of us could call our own shots with our education. Why? They were in college. They were trying to get somewhere. So when a team came to them and were like, hey, and they probably had the lowest salaries out there. It wouldn't surprise me if we go back and look. Probably had 10-year contracts for little or nothing, even with the cost of living back then, because they were seen as bodies doing the work. That's why I said when it comes to the HBCU combine, I see them drafting bodies. I see them inviting bodies into the league. When they get to the point where they want to recognize the talent of a quarterback, Draylon Ellis, then we're going to know they value the player, the whole player, and not somebody, I could take you because you have speed. They all have speed. So that's when we're going to know that they're actually being fair in evaluating the talent and not allowing bias. Well, I already don't want black quarterbacks, so I'm definitely not going to choose a black one from an HBCU. That's what it's given. Because Draylon Ellis, if you look at his highlights, I'm looking at him, I'm like, I see Jaden Daniels. He's a dual threat quarterback. He runs a 4.5, which is good for a quarterback. He's mobile. His mobility, his accuracy. And I'm thinking, if this guy had the development of Sheduer or probably Jaden Daniels at LSU, but no, they act like they don't see the quarterbacks. They only want the cornerbacks, the wide receivers, the defensive linemen. That's how you know it's not fair. So they're willing to spend all of this money on the HBCU combine and didn't take one HBCU player last year. Not one. Remember, Jackson State has been to the Celebration Bowl twice, and you couldn't get one player? So I'm not surprised that all of this hatred is hurled toward Lamar Jackson, Sheduer Sanders, Jalen Hurts, all people who made decisions Jalen left Alabama and went to Oklahoma. So because of that decision, he's a problem. But they forgot when Tua got hurt. Guess who held it down? When Jalen was playing and Saban benched him, I didn't see Kirby Smart bench his quarterback. The score was 3-0. So, yeah, Jalen got up out of there and went to an air raid offense where he could appreciate it. But guess what? When it came draft time, where they left him? Middle or second. And then what did he do? He has been to the Super Bowl twice in 5 years, and some of these quarterbacks that they held it against him have never, ever been. But do they come back and say, oh, my bad? Lamar Jackson, we need you to switch to wide receiver. We don't think you're going to be a good quarterback. Unanimous MVP, not once. Really should have it 3 times. Did you hear anybody come back and say, oh, my bad? Like, we didn't watch them let Lamar Jackson sit there to number 32 because he made a decision for himself. Jalen Hurts made a decision for himself. Sheduer Sanders hadn't been asked to make no decisions yet, but he has thoughts. And some people have a problem with it. Not a lot of people. They might have kept it quiet, which they should. Because why would you defame somebody? Because they feel like they have choices. We all have choices. And yeah, there might be some out there who might be homeless right now. They could be living in a shelter and you don't know. And they got to do whatever you say to get where they are. But this is the modern era. That's not the case. This is not shut up and dribble. Do you know how far we are from that? So the NFL needs to fix this. Yesterday, Sheduer is going to bring fans wherever he goes. Sheduer has 2.5 million followers on IG alone. There are fans that are waiting to see Sheduer play Cam Ward in their first NFL game matchup. Why you don't see nobody trying to capitalize off of that? You won't be strategic about where people go. Put Cam on a team that plays opposite a team Sheduer will play and watch it sell out. That's new fans. See, most businesses would kill for 2.5 million new customers. It's a team out there with some common sense. We just don't know who it is because they're not entertaining this foolishness. So not everybody fell for it. But that one anonymous person is just part of the same clan that asked Lamar Jackson to switch to receiver. I'm willing to bet. See, people are emboldened to do things like that because it's not just them. If it was just him, he would have been gone a long time ago. The reason why he felt comfortable saying that because he didn't think there would be any consequences. He's not the only person that feels that way. He think he's just speaking up for the group. Well, get rid of the whole group. This is the modern era. I'm like, I would like to enjoy an NFL game without racism. I just want to see a competitive game between two teams that don't involve one team holding a black player on the bench because you want the quarterback to be white, or another player who's white being thrown the ball even though he been messing up all the whole game. Because why? You want him to be the one to make the play, because why? You want to prove that you didn't need Isaiah Likely and Derrick Henry. That's what you're trying to prove. How about we just play football and focus on playing football, which means you are supposed to evaluate not the talent, character, but the skill set. But see, you can't tear down Sheduer Sanders' skill set. Anybody that has changed 3 programs, one in high school, multiple times. He didn't just win 1 state championship. And then they go on to college and do it. Oh, you know what's coming. And so do these NFL teams who want to win. And that's who's going to draft him. And we all going to be fans. Oh, I agree. Anytime you put racism before you put good business, you ultimately lose because racism is expensive. You don't believe me? Look at what's going on in the world right now in this country. Look at people losing left and right, thinking that they wouldn't lose because they really thought all of the foolishness that's taking place was only going to affect one group of people. Well, you're not very smart if you thought that. Hey, Coach Dre. It say they have 1 year, the coach or GM, to fix the Giants or bye-bye for both of them. That's good, but they should have been gone. When Saquon Barkley went to Philly and they won a Super Bowl, I'd been like, you know what? Okay, I know you my auntie, cousin, sister, uncle, brother, but you got to go. You costing me money, and you making me look bad. The Giants look incompetent. Coach Dre say, hey, chat, what's good? Y'all don't let them haters work y'all up because they ain't working us up, but we do have something to say, and they gonna hear it because I'm not the only person that feels like this. I know that there are multiple shows because I've watched them from New Orleans back to Atlanta that have called out this issue. But in my opinion, because they have sponsors, they got to kind of like walk around the corner to get across the street to basically say all the hatred towards Sheduer Sanders is rooted in racism. So I'm going to just say it for him. We all feel the same way. I'll just say it. Yes, sir. I totally agree. Hey, 22. Look at what these owners did to Warren Moon. He was so good that they wouldn't draft him. He had to go to Canada. Also, Charlie Ward, a Heisman winner, was not drafted at all. Wow. I heard about Warren Moon. I didn't know about Charlie Ward. Thank you for that, 22. I appreciate it. It said you're only in. Yeah, I know. But they need to know. Look, if you don't want my money, just go ahead on and tell me. I'll keep it because I buy merch. I buy merch before I buy a ticket to a game. And that merch is not cheap. We all support in different ways, even if we give our attention to it at the halftime show. You think the halftime show ratings don't affect the NFL and the play? Yeah, it affects it. And who has the highest rated halftime show? Kendrick Lamar. And people want to say they didn't see it. You saw it. Because if you didn't see it, you heard it. And the only reason you would look away is because, once again, your bias is rooted in racism. It's just call it out. Call it what it is. So the players don't have to. That's how I feel. I'm excited about where Sheduer is going because we will be rooting for him everywhere he goes. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Any team worth their salt that wants to win, wants to get Sheduer because he brings fans with him. Name me one NFL team who couldn't use 3 million new fans, 2.5 million new fans. Look at how many fans the Raiders have on IG. Somebody look at it right now and tell me how many it is. And then we're going to talk about Sheduer having 2.5 added to that. Yes, facts. This is old, and it goes on every year. If we keep sweeping it under the rug, right, you got to stop sweeping it under the rug. Like, it's not going to go away because, see, here's eventually what's going to happen. I think came out? Not this last draft. The draft with Anthony Richardson. It was 3 quarterbacks. 1, 2, 3. This year, 3 quarterbacks. Even though we see people out here trying to change it up, whatever, it still could be the same thing. How many black quarterbacks were in the Super Bowl? Okay. How many times did that happen? Just as many times as we've had 2 drafts with top 3 quarterbacks are all black. It's going to continue to happen. So hating on Sheduer not going to stop anything. If he go to a Super Bowl his first year, or if he get as far as Jada Daniels did, or even CJ Stroud did, what you gonna do? I mean, you got to be tired because it's not going to negate or reduce the number of players coming out of college that are black at the quarterback position. We got another one. I know I told y'all, Kaden Salter could bring that Heisman to Colorado. I said that after I found out who he was. The guy that's getting ready to replace Jackson Dart, I think he's about as young as Juju. He's a multi-sport athlete too. Simmons, I think is his name. I watched about a documentary on him. They better treat him right at Ole Miss. I think that's the school. They better treat him right. This kid is a prodigy. You're going to hear about him. Alabama now saying they having a quarterback controversy when they brought in the young man from Duncanville. So we'll see how that goes. So that's 3 right there. It's just 3. So it's not going to change anything. Hating on Sheduer is not going to make a team not pick a player who's a star, who's the most accurate in college, won the Johnny Unitas Award, and has 2.5 million followers. And the prime effect coming with it. And they know that. So to put that out there, you wanted to maybe change his draft stock. Did we not say that Deion Sanders Jr. said it last week that some of these analysts were trying to tamper with Sheduer Sanders' draft stock by putting this negativity about him? So since the analysts couldn't get it done, I guess we have a coach that decided to volunteer. He should lose his job. Because what he said is against the majority of people that have actually met this young man. And against who he really is. This young man stayed behind. He didn't have to. He could have left. Some other players left. He stayed with his squad. He stayed with Jimmy. He stayed with LaJohntay to watch them work out. He could have went home. He's not selfish. They talk about Will Shepherd. Look at how much he worked with Will Shepherd and kept throwing him the ball till Will Shepherd got to a point where he was comfortable catching it when he first got there. Am I lying? No. You can see that with your own eyes. He helps to develop his receivers if that's what they need. He stood up for Will Howard. He said, why y'all hating on Will Howard like that? How many times y'all heard me say that? What did he say? Sheduer said, Will Howard just won the Natty. Exactly. I asked the same question because Will Howard goes where? To Ohio State, and Jackson Dart goes where? Ole Miss. The Giants' loss is another team's win. Exactly. And I think they put that they're trying to find somebody with a voice big enough and influential enough to tank Sheduer's draft stock. I hope he go first on him. I heard whoever it is. The Browns are in number 2. I don't know if they really gonna draft a quarterback making that kind of money. I'm thinking they could drop to the second and get Jalen Milroe, or Will Howard, either one, whatever. But I don't know who it is. Some people think the Jets might surprise us all. Some people think the Saints might surprise us all. The Saints could get Milroe if the Browns don't. The point is, it's too many teams out here that need a quarterback not to get one. And I've watched them play this musical chairs with, there are no good quarterbacks in this draft. And people like, well, they don't say nothing negative about Cam. I said, well, basically saying there's no good quarterbacks in this draft is also negating Cam Ward. So I watched them go from there's no good quarterbacks in the draft. We saw how Sheduer was treated when it came to the Heisman. Like, they keep moving the goalposts. It's always something else and finding a reason or somebody else to be the voice of hatred to go against Sheduer Sanders. Well, his fans and analysts that know better have something to say, and this is a byproduct of that. This is called backlash. That's what this is called. He told him, if you don't want to change your culture, don't draft me. Right, because why? Some of these teams have a culture out here that's really not about winning. They rather focus on holding people back and not winning. Being in Atlanta, I can tell you firsthand how these Falcons fans felt. I think I have in my phone right now a TikTok or IG post with a fan. It's symbolic with a Falcons jersey getting ready to burn down the whole freaking stadium. See, everybody wanted to lean on, Michael Penix Jr. could learn and sit behind Kirk Cousins for a year. I never bought that. Spoke out against it even before I started podcasting. I said Michael Penix is the most NFL-ready quarterback in the draft. Why should he sit behind Kirk Cousins? But Bo Nix got a chance to play, and he struggled, and he got in Sean Payton's face, and he lives on. So you had to actually lose first. You had to actually lose first before you started Michael Penix Jr. when he should have been a rightful starter because he balled out in camp. Anybody can see that Sheduer is a leader. Exactly. And they don't want a leader. So, you want a person that's not confident. And then you're going to drag him for not being confident. That's why Sheduer is doing right by being Sheduer. You damned if you do, you damned if you don't. Be yourself. Don't sell your soul and don't dim your light and do not shrink yourself. Don't worry about being likable. Go in there and be a winner. Jimmy Horn Jr. said, winning solves everything. Hey, Damon. 22 says Sheduer might be doing what he's doing and so be there for Vegas Raiders. And at the 6th pick, it might be the plan. Some people did say 22. It was said a couple of analysts posted right after the interviews that he's tanking or strategically interviewing. That's the term that they use. And I don't think that was a strategic move. I think that was him being honest, because it's true. Because we know who he's talking about. If anybody thinks they don't know who Sheduer is talking about, then you're not really paying attention. It's only so many quarterbacks that's going to be drafted in the first round. We all know who at least 2 or possibly 3 teams. He wasn't talking about the Titans. I don't believe he was talking about the Browns either. They seem to have a good rapport. Sheduer Sanders and the Browns, enough for Browns fans to think that Sheduer is going there. So people said he was strategically interviewing. I think he was just being honest. I asked fans, I said, can y'all imagine Sheduer Sanders being drafted and benched for a year like they did Michael Penix Jr.? Everybody was like, oh, like, what? Like, you can't even fathom that. But yeah, I do think that might have been some people's plans. It still could be. You don't know. But they're going to be met with some fury if that's happened. And we know it happens because that's what happened to Michael Penix Jr. Why? Because at the beginning of last year, everybody was on this. See, I told y'all, my theory was they hated on Justin Fields in Chicago and made him the scapegoat. Well, Caleb's there now, and now they need to fix him. You see how that works? You see how that works? And look at how Russell was treated in Denver, but watch Bo Nix stand up to Sean Payton, and he don't act like that. I sometimes think that Mike Tomlin is under pressure to get rid of Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. In fact, people kept saying Russell Wilson was washed up and should be out the league. But then when Pete Carroll gets to Vegas, maybe he'll end up there. So it seems to be, I said this, and it's documented. I said the NFL is in a tug of war. There are people who want to advance the game, who want the best players, regardless of how wealthy they are or what they look like, or if they're black, white, or from another nationality, race, etc. There are players, GMs, executives, and owners that actually want to win. But then there's a few that don't. And those few are the ones keeping the problems up. But if you ask me, if that owner would have handled business with the Giants and fired the people who fumbled Saquon Barkley, I bet we wouldn't be having this conversation about Sheduer right now. It would be a GM that wants to win. I just got here. I want to win. So that's what it is. It's just that's what everybody knows. It's rooted in racism. That's all it is. And it's time for that to move on. Like Rich Eisen say, this is the modern era. Some players might be already wealthy because Travis Hunter has money. Ain't nobody saying nothing about that. Why? Because he don't say nothing. So they think that's better. You see how that works? Oh, he don't say nothing. We want somebody like that. They don't want somebody with a thought, a brain, and opinion. But if he didn't have the intellect and the football IQ, I promise you they will be ripping him to shreds, saying he is unfit to be a quarterback and lead a team in a franchise. As if Sheduer is going to set the tone at his young age of 22 for what 30-year-old linemen do. Maybe they're worried about how 30-year-old linemen going to wear their hair if Sheduer decides to wear braids. That's really what the problem is? You worried about Sheduer wearing braids, so then some other people going to wear braids? They already have braids. They just different lengths. Sheduer is a leader. He wants to win. He's passionate about the game. He enjoyed playing football. He's been wealthy all his life. So him having money should not be the cornerstone of any conversation on whether or not he needs the NFL. Why do you want somebody that needs the NFL? Shouldn't you want somebody that enjoys the game and is passionate? Because if I need the NFL, the moment I get what I need, what you think gonna happen? Okay, I talked about this. There are 1% of players. They just want the money. But then there are a lot of players out there like Myles Garrett, Sheduer Sanders, Cam Ward, Jalen Hurts. They want to win. I heard Jalen Hurts on video saying after losing that Super Bowl the first time, it changed him. It changed him. These guys play this game, which is violent, because they love to play football. They love the game and they want their competitors, they want to win. And my challenge to anybody who's going to talk on this subject, I don't care how many sponsors you have or don't have. If you know that this is rooted in racism, it is your duty to call it out. Otherwise, you don't even need to go live or press record if you're not going to add value to the conversation. And we're at 1 minute and 23 seconds already. So shout out to Sheduer Sanders for being a stand-up guy, hanging out with Jimmy Horn Jr. and LaJohntay when everybody else probably, some people probably stayed, but he could have left. They pointed it out multiple times. He's wealthy. He could have took a PJ out of there, but he stayed. Why? Because he's a stand-up guy. That's who he is. Every time they asked him who he want to throw to in the NFL, he named his wide receivers from Colorado. How many other people did that? I'll wait. Okay. So I asked the question. I said, how many IG followers do the Raiders have? Let's see. I can look it up before we get out of here. Raiders. Raiders have 2.4 million followers. Sheduer Sanders has 2.1 million. So he could bring 2.1 million to that 2.4, and that's just on IG. So, you know, this young man, he's a star. That's what he is. He's a star. They want to dim his light. No matter how hard they try, it's not working. All they seem to keep racking up is backlash and making people see what the problem truly is. Bias rooted in racism. All right, y'all. So we have had an excellent conversation, excellent commentary, good engagement. I appreciate it. Let's see. We're going to get ready to get out of here. I'll share this video again from New Orleans. It was fun. If y'all get the opportunity, if you have not, if you have been to New Orleans, you already know what time it is. But if you have not, I say take time. Next Mardi Gras, just go down there. You can even go down there probably to Sugar Bowl and get the same vibe. But there's nothing like a Mardi Gras parade. Seeing all the bands marching, and they're not just from New Orleans. I saw Talladega was there. Alcorn State was there. A few high schools from Atlanta. They had a high school come down from from Ohio. So they get bands from all over the U.S. to come and march in the parades. And it's just really fun. Some people follow the floats to get the throws, the beads. Some people follow the bands. They call band heads. They actually like the music, and it's really good, you know. So, and some of y'all saw Sheduer at a high school practicing, meeting with the kids. That high school is called St. Augustine or St. Augustine, depending on how you want to say it. It is considered royalty in New Orleans. And that's the school he went to visit. So, you know, I don't know how he got, you know, a hold of them or they got a hold of him, but he was associated with some of the best in New Orleans, and their band is undeniable. But the school itself, all the kids go to college. It's a private school, and, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you're the cream of the crop if you go there, you know. So when I saw him there, I was like, wow, okay. You know, you don't just see anybody at St. Aug. So the Giants lost, another team win. They did. Coach Dre say facts. Believe I got to see it up close. Teams be lying. The teams lie because they wanted teams to pass on guys, but we just keep pouring forward because they want people to act up to say see. That's so sad. And that's what people were saying too about Sheduer. They was like, it's a testament to his character. He's unflappable on the field, and he's not even bothered by this. More of us are talking about this. He said how he feels. He wants to go to a team, where the culture is elevated, and the coaches probably want to win. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, would you apply at a job if you had money in your bank account? Would you apply at a job that's just going to overlook you, ignore you, never had anybody like you before? So, you don't have no high hopes for them if they fumble somebody like a star employee that's been employee of the month for 3 years. And, like Saquon Barkley going to go on to the next company and do well. And you see that on LinkedIn. You like, well, I don't want to work here. But you're going to take that job if you don't have no money so you can get food to eat. But after you get on your feet, guess what you're going to do? You're going to bounce. So I don't know why anybody thinks getting somebody because they desperate is going to retain them after they get their needs met. That's nonsensical thinking. You want somebody who's passionate for the game of football, who likes to play football. Sheduer is always looking for ways to extend the play. Most times it works. If he have an O-line, people said it so many times. Imagine if Sheduer Ward had an O-line like Cam Ward had. I mean, Sheduer Sanders had an O-line like Cam Ward had at Miami. If he just had an O-line. So I think Caden gonna have one this year. I watched those guys work out. I saw Coach Prime back. And, everybody seemed to be in the workout. I saw Caden, I saw Juju with all the quarterbacks doing their drills together. Caden threw a 70-yard bomb the other day. Like I said, I have high hopes for Caden Salter. They're going to try to trash him too, because they got Arch Manning at UT. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Some people get given the crown. Others have to earn it. They have fear to speak the truth. Yeah. The best fit for Sheduer are the Raiders because of Pete Carroll, because all he ever coached, all he ever had was black QBs since Southern California with Rodney Peete. Okay, good insight, 22. I said that's why I could see Jalen Milroe with Kellen Moore in New Orleans. I could see Kellen Moore making the call, but I could see the organization doing like the Falcons. So we're going to see what happens. But we getting ready to get out of here. This was excellent conversation. I knew it would be because most of us, I have this motto. Everybody loves Sheduer. They try to trash this young man, but he's shown nothing but goodness. But the reason why they try to trash him is just what was it Coach Dre said, is because they're trying to sway people's opinion about him. And I do think that is called defamation. And this is why I say the NFL needs to rectify this situation immediately. Fans are not going to back down off of this. We've seen too much good from Sheduer. He's too selfless. This man was getting hit at the knees in a manner that could have ended his career, and all he cared about was the pass complete. That's what you want. You want somebody who's committed to the game. So we'll see. All right, y'all. I'm going to get out of here. Thank y'all so much. This was excellent engagement. I'll see y'all tomorrow at the same time. Can't wait to see it. I haven't watched Colorado's latest video with the guys working out all the way through. So I'm excited to see that. I heard there was, I don't know if they were throwing Caden and Juju. And then don't forget, we also have Ryan Staub. I think him staying there 10 toes down says he has all heart to compete. And, I was very impressed when he was out there throwing alongside Caden and Sheduer when Sheduer was throwing out that day. So, it'll be interesting to see what shakes out, who stays, who goes. But I definitely have high hopes. And as long as we beat Georgia Tech, I think if we start on that upward swing, I think it's going to be, I think we could go, what did we say, 10-2 or 11-1? So we shall see. All right, y'all. Good night. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I shall see y'all tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching What She Said.